I don't think you can fart in space.
That's what I thought we were saying.
I think it would get sucked out of you. Because it would try to. So if you've got one in the chamber,
And you get thrown into space.
no.
I mean, you'd have a lot worse problems. Roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Just keep your hands where I can see them. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
No, I'm only under one influence.
What's that?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
I know you'll see some way to
And be so wonderful.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of iCarly. We're your hosts.
Oh, that's what
Jeanette McCurdy.
Margot Robbie?
Definitely not, but
Paul Schwab.
and Paul Schwab. Who's Paul Schwab?
Probably Spencer.
You'll find out.
Oh no.
Paul Schwab?
I have no idea. Is the first name
David
that came to my
Schwimmer.
mind.
Who's David Schwimmer?
David Schwimmer is from Friends.
Who was he in Friends?
Ross.
Lynch.
Gross.
Allie and Austin Alley.
He was... No.
Ross Lynch.
I'm gonna sneeze!
I am also fighting back a sneeze.
I'm fighting back a cough.
Thank you guys for being here. You'll probably hear it in our voices. You'll probably hear it in some coughs / sniffles / throat
And
clearings.
the fact that Byron is dead and not here with us,
And
sickness has ravaged the UTI
there
crew.
is a really virulent UTI going around.
There's a virile UTI sickness.
No,
It's taking
no,
life.
Levi's just straight up sick, I guess.
Dude,
And
I've
then-
been dying. I've been in and out of fever like for the past week. It's been rough.
But that's over, right? Because you're here.
Because you're here.
Yeah, it
You're not gonna
finally
give that to us?
it finally started letting up yesterday. So
All right.
and I needed to be here because
So Levi's got the urinary tract infection fever.
I have allergies. I'm in a fevered state, but I'm not hot.
Right.
Mine's not cold.
No, I've just got really bad allergies. Mid-May, it's when they usually start to hit hard. And then today, it just out of nowhere was like,
die.
Me too.
whammy. Hurts real bad.
Allergies
Doesn't
are
hurt real bad. I don't want to say it hurts real bad.
It hurts so bad. That'd be
My
so
whole
much
body
worse.
just hurts.
If
I'd
allergies.
rather that.
If allergies were
Depending
just
on how
pain,
bad it hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
I
like,
suppose
if
if
it was
it
just
didn't
a
hurt.
body ache.
Yeah, but I mean like this type of pain that makes you,
like just kidney
Scream?
stone.
no, like sweat. Like you're like, all I can do is breathe.
If it was constantly like that,
Like your nose just,
instead of
I would rather my nose have that kind of pain.
wow.
Because it's so
you
frustrating.
must
Out of
get
your
bad
mind.
allergies.
Your allergies must be painful already. It's so bad.
because that's so
you would
much
rather
worse.
have cold sweat pain than just
No.
cry all the time.
No, I'd rather not. If it was like...
Oh no, it's a
And you
little
get your
bit
legs
hard
chopped
for me
off.
to breathe.
What do I have to do to make it so that you're like, maybe not?
No, if it was like... If it was like the pain of...
Childbirth?
No.
Allergies, the pain of childbirth. That'd be rough.
If it was like the pain of just getting punched real hard in the arm. You know, I'd
Yeah,
do that.
I would take that.
instead.
Immediately.
Oh, man.
If it was a constant brain freeze.
How much mucus do you think you've swallowed?
None.
You don't swallow it?
I've swallowed so much. What are you talking
Why do you
about?
swallow your mucus?
When you
That's
sniffle,
disgusting.
you go,
Do you spit it out?
No,
and it
I
goes
do
to the
it.
back of your throat.
I do it when it's like getting to the point where, oh, this is going to start running somewhere, and I pull it back up. I rapture it back up into my nose.
Yeah, but that goes to your throat.
Yeah.
No, it goes back up
why
to the
there's
top
only
of my
one
nose
doctor.
because I have a valve. I can stop it. I'm going to mute
You don't
my
have a
blow my nose.
valve.
All right, so we were saying we've got sniffles. We're allergenic. We've got
Allergenic.
We're allergenic. We're allergenic. We got some allergies.
Ointment.
I don't know.
I know it. I remember the name.
And we're not really sure why we decided to still do this. I think maybe because we missed last week. If we had done it over the weekend, I'd be fine missing this week. But we got to do it.
Yes.
We got to do it.
Do it to
Big
it.
things are happening real soon. This coming Wednesday, so it's going to be way long ago for you guys listening. But this coming Wednesday, Jude his episode of Privy Cast
That's right.
is coming out.
You were in the privy.
I have to send a photo to him. I forgot about that.
You should do that.
I should do that.
You should
Literally
do that.
now.
Yeah. So Jude did an episode of Privy Cast, that show that I did with our buddy Hunter. The show about bathrooms recorded in a bathroom, you know?
It was recorded in this bathroom.
Yeah, same bathroom that I recorded my episode in.
Wow.
Copied
Crossover.
This guy turned the bathroom into an office space in like half a minute.
This is a disgusting episode for the poor people
Well,
listening.
we're a disgusting episode
Well, for the
because
poor
we're
people
sick.
listening, well, actually, for the poor people watching and the rich people, I hope you're happy
The rich
because something's changed from the last episode to this one.
What's changed?
Oh, we didn't even talk about it.
One person in particular, I hope you're really happy.
Byron's not here, and he's just working. And now that there's 4 of us regularly on the show, we can do that from time to time. If somebody
Yeah.
can't make it, we can record. And so obviously they already know this because we've done an episode without Levi. But we're doing this one without Byron. So that means, of course, the episode where our medically oriented mind isn't here. The 3 of us are all... What? The 3 of us are all...
Medically oriented mind is not here.
The 3 of us are not feeling great. But...
The angle has changed. We're lower. We're no longer a bird's eye up in the corner like a diligent crow. Now
You're
way of
more
saying
like
it.
a.
So
we're
let
like
me tell a story.
a
To
guy
begin with,
sitting there.
before we started this podcast on video form, Jude and I were up here,
And to be
setting
clear,
things
I
up.
deny everything that he's about to say.
even though he wasn't here.
He wasn't there.
We were
take away
setting
the
this
fact that I
whole
deny.
thing up, and Jude and I were discussing what camera angle. And Jude said it would be better to have it on a box propped up so it was viewing us down. I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all because nobody ever does that, right? And then he convinced me that
need to
no,
be
this is the
unique.
better thing to do. It makes us more unique, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and nobody's going to have a problem with it beyond, and being able to recognize the fact that it's unique and funny. I didn't think it's funny, but I guess by the nature of the fact that it looks bad, I guess that can make it funny. And so yours is muted. Is it still muted? You just muted it. You never muted it to begin with.
You've been muted this entire time.
No,
I
he
just
was
clicked it
I
to
know,
drink
I know.
water, but I guess I didn't actually.
Yeah. And then you looked at them and said something.
Give it wrecked.
So, our first episode came out recently after we recorded 5 episodes, the way that we've been recording. And Serendina, who we appreciate greatly in the community because she's one of the few people that actually goes in the Discord and responds to the things we talk about, and I really enjoy reading what she has to say and responding to it. One of her notes was that it didn't look good that way. It would look better a different way. And like I've been
Didn't
saying
look
from the
good
beginning,
that way.
so
This guy is a liar.
I'm not a liar. I'm paraphrasing what I remember her saying.
All right,
Paraphrasing.
Jude, bring it up.
I'll bring it up. I got the receipts. Here's what Serendina, a good member of the
Allegedly
Discord,
said.
said.
She said it in a much nicer way, I'm sure. Like, it might look better. I don't know. This doesn't look...
It might look better. I don't know.
I'll pull out my phone so it looks like I'm doing something too.
I really liked what you... never mind. I actually really liked what she said about this. About mission trips in heaven. How we'll feel like we could have done so much more when we get to heaven. Similar to how we feel.
Yeah, we should actually go through what she said in a second. But for the filming, one thing that might help is lowering the camera a bit so we get a better angle on all your faces. Like we're sitting instead of standing.
Oh, the camera angle looks terrible, and I'm done watching the show because of it.
Not what I said. She's right, though.
You might be able to zoom in a little, too, because of all your small faces. Jerry's face is small. She said that.
No, she did say that.
She did
actually.
say that. Jerry's face
Jerry's
is
face
incredibly small.
He's incredibly small. Can we please enhance
No,
Jerry's
she had
face?
great feedback, and I appreciate her feedback. No, she said, I liked what you guys said about going on mission trips and wishing when you'd gotten back that you'd put in more effort and taken more of the opportunities. I can't remember if you said this or not, but I think when we get to heaven, we'll feel the same way about life on Earth. This 90 years of life is a short-term missions trip from a heavenly perspective. I know we need a little more rest here than we get when traveling internationally, but I think when we get to heaven, there will be plenty of time for rest and fulfilled desires, which we haven't quite grasped yet. So I don't think we'll regret passing up opportunities for rest here on Earth in order to serve God better.
Regret
agree.
is an interesting thing to try and rationalize while you're in heaven.
Yeah. Matt has talked about that at our small group, our Wednesday small group. He talked about it when we were talking about just what heaven will be like. And I think he was just saying that, you know, it's easy to think now that we'll look back on those moments where we should have done better, or we think we should have done better, whatever it is, and regret it. And that should serve to push us and drive us now to serve more effectively. But in the long run, in heaven, there won't be regret.
Yeah.
Right. And so we will look back and we will just see how God was working despite our failures and things like that. And we will be thankful for God's perfect, just nature, his sovereignty. And yeah.
Do you think there will be knowledge of our lives here while we're in heaven?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Well, does it say?
I don't believe so. I don't know.
I don't know if it's specific enough on that. It's I don't know. I have no inclination.
I've been thinking about heaven a lot.
Makes sense. Revelation's been the topic of discussion for months at church.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much through it. We're in Revelation 22 right now.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't read Revelation. It's about the end of the world.
And it ends good.
Apocalyptic literature.
It does end goodly for those who...
No, it just ends goodly.
It does, doesn't it? Interesting. It does end goodly.
I just spilled water all over myself.
I spilled water when I thought my mic was muted all over my right. It's literally down my back right now.
That must feel
water
nice.
back there.
And it went right down my back.
That doesn't make sense.
I think it does.
Maybe get better at drinking.
It was terrible. But I've been thinking about heaven just because I always had the idea of streets of gold is always what you hear, but then thinking about streets of gold outside of thinking about it literally for 5 seconds, it paints this really interesting picture where, first off, I just want to say gold is hard to find, like cosmically. It's not just hard to find on Earth. There's no like...
Go ahead, sorry. That was weird.
There's no like planet where it's just
Frank disagreed.
gold. Or there's tons of gold in space. Like there's asteroids that have trace elements of metals on them, but gold is extremely rare. And so when he says you'll walk on streets of gold, it's like imagining the lowest thing that there could possibly be in a hierarchy of just like everything that exists. The literal ground that you walk on that dirties and sullies your feet that you have to wash off from, that will be one of the rarest elements.
Or you could say the other way, the thing that you make so often dirty.
That's
like
true.
You're tracking dirt
Yeah.
onto.
Will literally be elevated to the status of like gold, pure gold.
Yeah.
And if it's literal, that's gonna hurt.
That's going to
Very
hurt.
uncomfortable to walk on.
Dude, gold is like the softest
The softest what?
Doesn't mean it's
softest.
soft, though.
What is it? The softest
metal.
metal.
Yeah, it's still metal.
What if it's really hot? It's gonna be terrible.
No, but that's but it's the coolest heat.
It's the coolest heat.
Yeah.
It's the coolest of all the hot metals.
Yeah, it's the coolest of all hot metals. So.
Gold reaches 9,000 degrees quicker than any other metal, so it's cold.
No, what's important about all that is that what that's showing us in Revelation is that what is considered valuable and rare here is everywhere there.
Yeah.
Like whether it is literal or not, that you will walk up to a gate made of the one single massive pearl, and you will walk on streets of literal gold, whether that is exactly what it is like.
The foundations to the city, which would be like
Jasper
bricks,
and-
cement, or like rock, is now going to be like these 12 incredibly precious minerals.
Yeah.
Gems.
So what is precious
Uncut.
and valuable and rare here will be plentiful there. And it just puts into perspective the things like the rich men asking if they can take their wealth with them to heaven or not. And it should drive us to like further detach ourselves from what is found to be valuable in, on the world, or in the world, I should say. And because we are called to be heavenly minded, if we are heavenly minded, then that is an aspect of it. We're remembering that, well, it's plentiful there,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just grasping at these, what in the grand span of eternity, what are these small little amounts right now, trying to covet them when in
Of physical gold, you mean? Like
like when we're looking for wealth and riches now, it's just like these little shreds
like a
of what we
diamond.
will be in awe of, someday. It's just incredibly interesting. But Yeah, that's been cool to go through. And we've talked about it before on the podcast, but going through Revelation within the context of a pastor preaching it is really interesting, because I think he's done a good job of emphasizing, like from the pulpit, the impact of the book rather than the interest, which is his thing he's been saying, time and time again, which is that Revelation should be, like the rest of the Bible, a book of impact, not just a book of interest. We should be talking about what it teaches us now and about how we should be living, rather than just debating whether or not the things it's talking about are like Apache war helicopters or whatever in Russia,
What is the mark of the beast? Yeah.
So it's been really interesting, and we're almost through it now. And I'm excited to see what he has next, but it's been a rewarding experience, because it certainly pushed me to be more heavenly minded, which is a sermon that Chuck Connery preached one time a while ago, called More Heavenly Minded. It's a great sermon, and that is one that pretty much every single time over the last 6 months or so, if I feel lost at all, or I feel like I just don't know right now, I go and I listen to that sermon, and it like helps course correct me a lot.
Was that just on the Creekside podcast?
Yeah, it's on the Creekside Bible Church Spotify list, and you can go to the website and stuff. It's just More Heavenly Minded by Chuck Connery. It's a great sermon. But in it, he talks about how if first you ask yourself what it means to, or if first you remind yourself to be heavenly minded, then it begs the question what that means. And as you learn what it means to be heavenly minded, then you see God's purpose for your life here on earth. And for the church, it is to emulate the kingdom in heaven. And it's a great sermon, and it's helped course correct me plenty of times. And it's interesting because I've listened to it many times, and I listen to it over and over again, and it's been very rewarding. But yeah.
I think another thing Chad talked about a lot during his sermons was, again, this is about heaven, but the way he describes it is kind of, he'll like build an analogy and then he'll destroy it in order to make something appear grander, which it does appear grander.
Chad does this?
Yeah, so he's like describing heaven, about the streets are literally made of gold, and the joy that we get from heaven, all about heaven that is good, is because of who we're there with, not because of the gold streets or the gemstones or the
right.
It's like this place, like you get to go to this place that is beyond imaginable in every good way, and you won't even pay attention to that because you'll be too concerned with the person that you're there with.
Yeah,
which is God. Which is crazy to me, because it's made me completely stop trying to rationalize what heaven will look like and what life will look like there.
Yeah, what we'll be doing.
Yeah, like what does heaven actually look like? Just because it won't matter, because I could be doing literally anything, but if I'm doing it with God, like there will be nothing else I would rather be doing.
Yeah, we talked about that at our small group on Wednesday too, how just kind of wondering what we'll be doing and what will look like. And then it was like, well, what if we don't have... some people believe that each of us will uniquely be given like jobs to do, and other people think it quite literally will be standing for eternity, singing the praises of God and other things, and what it will look like. And I think it's safe to assume that it will probably be better, but emulate a similar vein of like the Garden of Eden, how they walked and talked with God and they were in his presence and serving him. And it does say that we will live and reign with him, right? And so in a similar way to how Adam was given control and, dominion over the animals and the land, I think it would make sense that we have some sort of role as well. Because if you look back in Genesis, we were given a role, like a task. I wouldn't say we're given jobs in the same way that we see that. Like, am I going to be the plumber for heaven? Am I going to be the this? It's like, but man was given a role. And then when man was in need of companionship and a comforter, woman was created and given a role as well, right? It's like we have distinct roles. And I think it would make sense that in heaven, it would be something like that as well. Or at least... similar, but ultimately better.
Yeah. Well, we know it's not just this like flat plane of ecstasy where like it's super dynamic. We know people will be different from each other because people will receive different rewards. So there will be some level of not like hierarchy, but there will be some level of maybe not hierarchy, but like there will be distinctions between people, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Whether that shows through like jobs or something, which I don't think it will.
You said there will be some level of hierarchy?
No, I said quite the opposite. Other than God,
Yeah.
yeah, and the angels
There will
will judge
be,
over it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just meant in between the people.
In between the people, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to think about too. Because like you think now, even amongst Earth, innocent hierarchies where it's just like some people have different qualities, and so some people do not want to or do not exhibit, like do not lead, and then other people have to. There won't even be that necessarily, right? Because we will be in the presence of God, and like we have no reason to be looking to each other for leadership. Yeah, it's very
That's true.
interesting.
There will be none of us that will need to guide or lead others. It's because
Yeah.
we'll be in direct. What's that called?
Influence.
We will be in direct communion with God. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I thought it was a
That's
C
a good
word.
word.
Direct
Face to face.
Correspondence.
commune. Nope. Heaven is not a commune. What's the kid that went to heaven and wrote a book about it? Heaven is for real.
Well,
Well,
allegedly.
and then one of them said that they didn't later.
Heaven
on in
is
life.
for real is what the book is called. I don't know the name of the kid. He's the Heaven is for real kid.
Jones.
Yeah,
Heaven.
that's his name. Heaven is for real.
Yeah.
He was
Heaven
named
is-
after what he would do.
No, they named him later. Before they
They
did
named
Heaven.
Your name shall be Heaven is for real.
Is
Like Israel.
Is Pharrell? I feel happy.
Oh, Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
He wears that stupid flat brim hat.
Whoa. Shots fired. Stupid.
Really
Wow.
cool flat brim hat.
Goodness
I saw
me.
a guy wearing a flat
Do you
brim hat
guys
today.
think that we'll explore the universe?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because you and I have talked about it.
No, yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
man.
Doesn't it say that the universe is destroyed? Or when it says Earth, does it
New
specifically
heavens,
mean
new
the
earth.
New
celestial
heavens,
body?
new earth. And
Oh,
the
new
word
heavens,
used
new
there for heaven is not heaven in the sense the kingdom of God.
No, yeah.
It is heavens as in the celestial.
firmament.
Yeah.
100%. I think that we'll be able to explore it.
You're gonna be
I
like,
think it's obviously just speculation, but I think it stands to reason that like
God does nothing
if-
for no reason.
on this imperfect world, we are like on the cusp of being able to do that and have like barely done it in a little bit in a perfect world with, because it does say he remakes the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
Perhaps we will. Do you think there will be?
You're gonna be like Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
And it's just Levi in space, completely horizontal.
No,
Yeah, I don't
but
think it's
like,
crazy to that.
yeah,
But
and
here's the great thing about questions like this. The great thing about questions like this is, now here's the great thing about all of our best efforts, because I was
Yeah.
telling people on Wednesday about this too, about how you and I had that talk when we were driving across the past to go to that show. All of our best efforts to grasp what it will be like in eternity with him will fall short.
Oh, yeah.
Which doesn't mean, like, do you think we'll be able to explore the universe? And I go, yeah, well, maybe it'll look like this. We're just not right about how. We might be wrong about that entirely.
Yeah.
But the great thing is it's fun to speculate, sure. And it's fun to wonder. But even if we're wrong, it just means it's better. And even if we think that would be better, we know confidently that God is right and it won't be.
Yeah.
So whatever he has in store is better too, which is so much, so like, it's just a sweet and important caveat to put in your mind, you know, before we start speculating, because I love to speculate about it too. And I think a cool thing about speculation is like, whatever I can go into it knowing whatever I try and come up with, I'll be wrong and it will just be better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's so cool. But yeah, I think it would be amazing if we could fly around space. Like, does that mean that we would just fly around like Adam Warlock or whatever, like you were saying, or are we on rocket ships?
Dude, I've had dreams about it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's heaven rockets.
Well, Levi, if someday that is true, I hope that we still can hang out because we should go explore space together.
Yeah. And
I'm
the
gonna
cool
be
thing
completely
is,
horizontal. I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna be completely horizontal.
just
Bing, bing, ding, ding, ding. You know, he can come into the ship, right?
He's actually not moving. God didn't give us that power.
I'm still in space, so
yeah.
I'm just.
But he can't die. Yeah, Matt was talking about how like, what does that look like then? Because death has lost its sting, so that means like the fear of death too. So you could just jump off a cliff, presuming there is one. But what would that look like? You wouldn't die because there is no death. So you're just like, you're out in space. You can't die, but you can't fly either. You're just like,
That really was great.
yeah, is that what it would look like?
Probably.
Like, you just crash, but no
Or
bones are broken?
maybe that's like perfect because you're in a void and there's nothing for you to do. You can't move, you can't go anywhere, but God's still there. So then it's literally you're in a deprivation tank
With God.
singularly God.
That'd be pretty.
And there's
nice
nothing
heavens. That does
Yeah.
put a hamper in the recreating the heavens and the earth thing, but I like it.
But I'm just saying,
No,
like,
yeah. A sensory deprivation tank, space, you, and God.
Yeah, it's an
Nothing
interesting thing to
you
try and
got.
speculate.
nothing, you and God.
Yeah. Dark side, you, and God.
Say dark side.
He's,
Like-
And then,
he is the nothingness.
but you'll be going like for eternity. So eventually you would run into something.
if there's something, but you said nothing.
No. You're in space. You're floating around, right? In
Something would have had to push
In
propel you at first. though.
our I mean, but there's no way that you would be in space without
Wait,
any
wait,
propulsion.
Hang on, wait. You think perfect bodies fart?
Certainly could. I think nothing is beyond God.
Whoa. So you think we won't need to, but we will if we want to?
Certainly could.
Which means heaven's going to have a lot of guys who think it's hilarious to on command fart like a million times.
Hey, Jerry!
Hey. No,
Just
just be
all-
like, yeah. Like
All
a
these people
soundboard.
are just communicating
But, like,
via fart.
Yeah, I
now.
don't think that'll happen.
You can press a button to activate the fart, but the fart is still like 3 seconds, so you could queue up like 30,000 farts if you just.
It's like when someone's streaming and then they're like trying to press something, but it's just like it's taking time for it to load, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys hear that? Hey guys. Just farting.
Yeah. All right.
no
that was a bit of a
bueno.
dumb sidetrack.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would move if you farted in space.
Yeah.
You would move forward.
How much? You like,
Roughly one fart.
well,
You
it
wouldn't stop.
it depends on your mass versus the
Propulsion.
force of
Yeah.
the fart.
So probably not very fast. But you will move and you won't stop moving.
is it undeniable that you will move? You like there's a minimum, or is there based on your mass?
Oh, you will move. You're
Really?
expelling gas. Yeah. You're creating a relationship.
No
with
matter
another
what,
object.
if there's any force going one
Yeah.
way, the other thing will move.
You're creating
like
a
a
relationship where
flea
two
jumping.
things-
Obviously, this is not space where it's a vacuum and you die because of that first.
Yes.
Obviously.
I don't think you can fart in space.
That's what I thought we were saying.
I think it would get sucked out of you. Because it would try to. It would try to so if you've got one in the chamber.
And you get thrown into space.
No!
I mean, you'd have a lot
Yeah, a lot
worse
more to worry about.
problems
Yeah. It's
as
sucking out of
you boil alive and simultaneously freeze to death.
Did you see that?
You lived it. He died.
No, I'm pretty sure that was Frank.
Frank, is that you? Yes, it is. Oh, what's this?
A receipt.
A Carl's Jr. receipt?
What did Frank get in his past life?
Frank got 1 medium fry, medium Dr. Pepper, large fry, large Coke, 2 burgers.
That sounds like what you usually buy.
Frank! Frank
got-
left us a note.
Great taste.
Should I read it? Do you think I should read Frank's note first and then read it out loud, or just read it out loud?
Just read it.
Just read it out loud.
It's
You know?
probably great.
With that,
No, wait, start over. Start over.
I'm not reading it.
Just start over.
Frank wrote this. You know, with that Hitler guy, the more I learn about the guy, the more I just don't care for him. What a knucklehead that guy was. Thank you, Frank.
Dude, Frank's the best, man.
Frank is the best. You know, Hitler guy. The more I hear about that guy, the less I like him.
I'm glad we have Frank, you know?
Thank goodness Frank's always writing us little letters. Gosh, I was worried.
Because you saw the word
You know that Hitler? Frank.
Yeah. I think Frank knows better than to...
Frank moonlighted in Venezuela.
problematic.
He might have a colored past.
You mean Argentina?
in Argentina.
Argentina. What's Venezuela?
not Argentina, and not
Socialism.
where Hitler left.
Venezuela is socialism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of them are, right?
Venezuelans.
No, most of those places.
Where is Venezuela?
South America.
Okay, I was making sure.
What'd you think I thought?
I was afraid you were going to say like Eastern Europe.
Everybody knows it's right next to Ukraine, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a socialist. I wouldn't know.
You're not a socialist?
Socialism? No, I'm not a socialist.
You almost.
Yeah, you took too
You
long.
guys hear that?
What? That?
I heard people talking.
No. So, can I share with you guys a pet peeve of mine?
No.
All right.
But I guess you will anyway.
So, Levi, I think I probably already talked to Jude
It's
about
you.
this. What?
Levi, it's you. You're the pet peeve.
Levi, it's you.
Can I share a pet peeve with you guys? Levi.
Refuses to elaborate.
You want to share a pet peeve?
So, I think I've talked to Jude about this already, but, and our editor will recognize this as well. But can I just express how much I loathe?
There are people talking
I do hear
outside.
people.
Yeah,
They're
there
yelling.
are people.
And they
yelling.
sound like they're on the other side of this wall.
Hey, come here.
Interesting. Well, I hope they're okay. So, can I express with you how much I just loathe dressers?
Why do you hate dressers?
People who get dressed in the morning?
No, not people who get dressed in the morning. The equipment, not equipment. The furniture, the piece of furniture known as the American dresser. The American dresser.
I hate having two. in
Not
my
the
living room.
European dresser or the
I don't know what those are
Oriental
like, 'cause
dresser?
I've
The
never been
European
there.
dressers.
You see?
The European dresser
is
has
that not allowed
drawers
to
that
do that?
open
Shaved your
out.
face.
Side,
I
side.
did shave my face.
Yes.
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Did you just notice that I didn't have a mustache?
No, because you shaved to the mustache when I last saw you, and so that was just you were shaved, but now the mustache.
And then you
is
got
gone.
rid of the mustache. What
Yeah.
the heck, dude?
So what's going on?
Dude, so I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I finished the show, and then I was like,
Turn the TV off and you saw your reflection.
yeah, basically. And then I was like,
Oh, this
I'm
is
not a
when you
huge
had the
fan of this.
mustache?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody
That's
looks
too
good
bad.
watching TV. You can never judge yourself about your reflection in the TV.
Oh,
Because
I
it's always just,
Oh,
yeah.
I should definitely shave that mustache.
I better shave my mustache.
Oh man, I look terrible. I should shave that
Yeah.
mustache.
Nobody looks good watching TV.
No.
It's too bad that you got rid of it. I
Or
thought it
looking
looked
at your
swanky.
phone, like when you're looking at your phone, and you,
Oh,
then
gosh.
your phone locks, and you're like, or you accidentally open the
No,
front
but
facing
it's
camera.
it's a lot cooler not having facial hair,
Really?
like temperature wise.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, I didn't think you were saying the other thing. Well, I go, really?
But now if I
That's why
punch you
I
in the
thought-
face, I could break your jaw. And earlier,
Yes, that is true. Having facial hair is an actual defense mechanism.
We talked
like,
about this on
versus-
episode 24 of season 2.
we did talk about it already.
Okay, Mr.
I didn't know he
Elephant
knew the
Man,
number like that.
remembering everything.
Paragon.
Okay, Mr. Elephant Man. So, American dressers.
Elephant man?
That's what he called me, Mr. Elephant Man.
That guy? That elephant man? Oh, you meant because of his memory.
I meant because of his memory,
What's-
but that too.
I did
What are you
not-
referencing?
You know the, Elephant Man.
who was
Who lives on
a guy
Dewberry
who was-
Lane or whatever?
He's
who had
got
worked in
a
the circus 'cause he was
he's got a
unfortunately horrifically
physical
deformed.
deformity
Oh,
that
his
like
face is-
fluid buildup, and he's just like
it is a
Oh,
just
that's
yeah.
sad.
Sebastian Stan played him in a movie.
yeah.
Okay,
a
well,
good movie.
American dressers are the worst, and here's why. I've recently dedicated to being more on top of putting my laundry away, which is kind of a sad thing as an adult man to realize that I wasn't doing
Super
it.
sad.
But I'm pretty sure you two don't. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I work off a basket system.
I did for a while as well, and then I realized that it bothered me. And so I started folding my laundry. I know. And putting it away
Where do you fold it?
Who are you and what
Your
have you
bed?
done?
in my
Jamie?
room,
No, like what do you set it on?
my bed.
But isn't Eeks there?
Hey, get off my bed.
But then there's dog hair.
There's dog hair on your clothes.
Now there's dog hair in the air.
Oh wait, only the people on video saw that. Well, that was a cool little thing for you. Go watch on YouTube, Spotifyers.
Anyway, you hate dressers.
I pantomimed shaking clothes off.
So you
I hate them because
so you love folding clothes, but you
Here's
hate
why.
where you put them.
yes, it's now that I've realized. So I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going, it might be because I saw a clip of Jordan Peterson, but he was talking about how
Just make your bed.
Yeah, like that whole thing. And I was like, no, it's an interesting point to say, pick something, put it in order, keep it in order, and you have some control over your life. And I was like, all right, that's a little bit of the whole manifest destiny stuff, which I think is ridiculous.
Manifest destiny?
I don't know. It just feels
You're trying to manifest destiny.
Murder Native Americans?
No, it feels a little quirky. His whole
Trying to
thing.
murder Native
But I do think that there's some truth to the whole have organization.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You
And,
wake up, you do something organized.
It doesn't mean you're disgusting for living out of baskets of clothes, but it does mean you're not living very organized.
Is that what you've been implying?
No, I'm saying it doesn't mean that.
He
Let me get
literally
through my
just finished
story.
saying, I don't mean this. Are you implying this?
So I decided I'm just going to do it. And so I've started. And a couple months ago, I realized how much I don't like dressers because as far as efficiency goes,
Yeah.
if I want to, I have to formulate my argument here. If I want to fold my clothes and put them away, unless I have exactly as many clothes, give or take an outfit worth, in my possession and therefore in my dresser, as I do in about the amount of time that it takes me to wear my clothes before washing them, which is like, I'm not going to go through my whole dresser
whole
and then wash
wardrobe.
my clothes, right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Also, because what if something happens? I need something that's in the washer. Also, this just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go through also, I have a hamper. I fill it, and then I go, all right, time to wash them.
Yeah.
When I wash my clothes, and then I go to put them away, I'm folding them, and I'm putting them in the dresser right back on top of all the clothes I didn't wear. Therefore, now I go to put on clothes in the morning until the time comes when I wash my clothes again, and I'm wearing the same thing. Now, I could go to the effort of digging around beneath all those clothes and then unfolding them, messifying them, making a mess. Or I have to do the extra effort of folding on my clothes, taking all the clothes out of the dresser, putting the folded ones on the bottom and those on top.
You're
you
thinking
would
about
think-
it too hard.
No. Well, then you've answered it, but hang on. Let me finish my complaint. You would think after millennia of America being around.
Millennia?
Yeah. No,
America
centuries.
has been around for millennia.
That's true. The country, or not the country, the land.
The idea.
The idea.
The idea.
Freedom. So you would think after this long, though, of technological advancement, we'd have been like, oh, this is a minor inconvenience, because that's how we develop every good thing nowadays. It's always like minor inconvenience. Why don't I fix that? It's pretty unnecessary and useless, or not very, it's unnecessary, but this is cool. You'd think that we'd have figured out the whole clothes rotation thing. Well, I mean, get a closet, hang everything up, but I can't hang everything up.
You live in a shed.
Because I live in a shack. Even if I didn't, I still. Even if I didn't, it's like, how could you hang everything up? You'd have a walk-in closet, and that's just real rich.
I feel the exact same way.
It's just annoying.
I had a small closet when we lived at the old house when we lived together.
Yeah.
And it was too small for me to hang up all my things that I would normally hang, like dress shirts and button-ups and jackets. But on my dresser, I just kept wearing the same 3 outfits because I would set them on top of the old clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
the
the
worst.
only time that I've had a closet that was usable, I was a child and I didn't need it.
But tell me if I'm crazy. Because it isn't plaguing my every thought. But pretty much every time I go to put my clothes away, I'm like, this is annoying. Or I'll wear something and I go, I just wore this last week and I wore it the week before that. Now I haven't liked the shirt, but also people are going to notice. And it's because it's on top.
You think people notice?
I don't know. But I do, with my shirts, I roll them instead of folding them, which means I get a whole lot more.
Stretch and wrinkle.
No, I get a whole lot more.
Stretch and wrinkle.
A whole lot more visibility. So I can pick from, rather than 2 shirts or 4 shirts that are folded on top, I've got 12 shirts
So you
and
can
only 2 rows.
That is better.
I still don't get to the bottom
I
ones.
can only
but-
see 3 shirts.
Yeah, you should start rolling them. But no, does it bother anybody else when you're every time you put your clothes away, you're like, oh, I'm just putting the same clothes I wore on top, which means I'm going to wear them again, unless you're using a closet. Now, I told Tim, our editor, this thing, and he had a great idea. It is
don't wear clothes.
No. It is essentially a like dresser that is a dispenser, like those napkin dispensers that dispense from the bottom. You fold your clothes
And then you pull it out.
load them into magazines on the top, and then you push a button and it goes and gives you an outfit.
Or
I like that.
Yeah, unnecessary, but
Pez.
when you're
Upside
using your clothes in your wardrobe,
and Pez is loaded from the top
Yeah.
and unloaded from the
you
top. So it
pull
would be
from the
this.
left,
Oh crud!
and then when you go to put things into it, and then you start stacking on the right, and then you pull from the left every day, and then when you need to put your clothes back in, you and then you
You
stack
make me
on the-
sick.
I'm sorry.
What?
I can't believe you figured it out.
That was so easy.
You know what's
well-
really bothering me is I feel like my mom told me this when I was a kid too. Like, well, you put the ones you just folded on the right.
wearing the same clothes.
I just keep wearing the things on the same three
I can't believe-
suits on the
Here's
top.
how we fix it.
I even mentioned it to Tim and Jude, and nobody said it. I didn't think of that, and I know my mom told me to put my clothes away like that when I was a kid, and you just over here living out of baskets, but know the truth.
Living out of baskets, but knowing the
But you know the divine truth.
the divine
Why are
comedy.
you living out of the basket?
That is living out of a basket.
He's
but
living out of a
knowing
basket.
you guys live in shacks.
Like
I
a
live in a
turtle.
basket. That
He
actually
lives in a basket in Jude's shack.
so baskets used to be my way of destroying hide and seek.
yeah, they're
Did
pretty
you fit in
useful.
one? So you just turn it over?
No, as a kid, I like even until now, I just wow. Thanks for that.
It was just funny how you went.
Dude, I destroy in hide and seek.
Even now?
I mean, the last time I played, I did. I was totally forgotten about
When was
and
the last time you
left
played?
for 2 rounds during high school. They forgot about me, and I was just
Wow.
staying out there.
I don't remember this happening.
Well, you forgot about
It
it.
was at Carson's house.
Why would you remember?
You probably
I
blanked it.
do remember that.
Yeah, yeah. They just entirely forgot about me because I was too good at hiding.
Who plays hide and seek in high school? No offense.
I love
did.
hide and seek.
He
I had
did.
a crush at it.
This guy did. This guy right here.
No, but like in a house. If you're gonna do it, it's
No,
fun
we were
when you're,
doing it
like, on a
outside.
big property. Okay.
Dude,
We
I'll
did it
crush
outside on a big
anyone.
property.
When I was
We were
a-
playing hide and seek. You played hide and seek.
No, that is cool then. But you chose a basket.
Yeah, as a kid. It was
the
the
best way to do
best thing.
Oh, I thought you were saying
Because
you did
I
that when
would,
we forgot
it would
about you.
be a dirty basket.
I do remember this.
I
thought you were
would
saying-
take out half the clothes. I would jump in. I would put the clothes back on
Yes,
top.
I did that too.
And I figured out a way to flip the lid. But I would also, before I would get in, I would turn off the lights. And I was deathly afraid of the dark. But I would do this for the game. And close
name
the
of the game.
doors, have the lights off, climb in, put the clothes on top, and then I could flip the lid. And then my parents would just give up and start screaming, like, where are you?
Oh, your parents were looking for you.
They didn't even know they
I
were
would
playing hide and
wreck.
seek. They just couldn't find Levi.
So at our old, like when we were kids, growing up with quite a few kids in the house. Now, for some families, we didn't have a lot of kids, but for the people we knew, it was a lot of kids. There was five of us, and there was always like wherever the laundry room was, in the hallway across from it, there would be a pile of clothes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Ours
a
ours
mountain.
was literally just the hallway
Yeah.
upstairs. It was like, I don't know. It felt like it was 2 feet wide. It was probably like 4, but there were so much clothes that
Yeah.
it was just like there's barely any walkway.
And that's something that I hope someday I will never do if I have children. But because like I don't know how that starts. Like why does a hallway? And it was the hallway between like you turn the corner, at least in the house I'm remembering.
What house
and
is
the big one, like the single story one, big kitchen.
Back in the middle of nowhere where
When
we,
mom and dad got divorced. That one.
Temecula.
Yeah.
The
I was just
purple
not
room one?
saying the street name, but
wait, was that the purple
and you said it
room?
wrong anyway. You said the name of a college. So
Was that the purple
you know
room?
the
one?
house.
the one when you and I met,
Temecula.
The purple room one?
purple
Temecula,
room
Temecula,
one.
guys, don't worry about
Oh
it.
yes,
I
yes,
figured
yes,
it out.
yes. Sorry.
He doesn't even know the house that he lived in. as
No,
a kid.
you're talking about the my dad's study that we used as a game room. Okay.
Temecula.
You're wrong, but it's okay, Jude.
No, that's the Shemeketa house.
Okay, Jude. So
You went to Shemeketa when you were in like
Oh, my
fourth
bad.
grade?
Shemawa.
yeah, I guess it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
You guys
It's a
haven't
random
lived
place.
there
on
in
Shemawa.
3,000 years.
Yeah, but somebody does.
Didn't the house get torn down?
No, it's still there.
It's still there.
You have
Oh,
to
I
take a
thought it was
different
going
road.
to be.
Yeah.
No.
They tore down everything around it to build
Yeah.
Bonaventure or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
None of this matters.
Don't
So,
firebomb that house.
At that house.
Don't
yeah.
firebomb that house.
If you go down the hallway and turn left, immediately on your left you'd have a door into the laundry room, and then on your right you'd have like a little playroom because it was like a room between the hallway and some bedrooms. But then from basically the point of those doors, the rest of the hallway length, it was a laundry pile, and then Jude's room and my parents' room. And so sometimes it'd be so big that you would just have to like, for Jude to go to bed, he'd have to just trudge across
over the
all this
mountain range.
laundry. And so I remember playing hide and seek. That was a common hiding place to just, the laundry pile's big enough. And you just squirm underneath it. And then if you knew someone was looking through it, you could just like wriggle to the other side of it, and then they wouldn't find you. And then they'd come over to that side, and you do your best to like wriggle around. And maybe I'm imagining that part.
We would have that pile, right, of dirty laundry. And then the clean laundry, after it would get done, my mom would just throw it at the foot of her bed. So we had this in the hallway, there was this massive pile of color-coded, because we would color code the laundry at that time, because you always had to keep your color separated, right?
Do you do that now?
Now you don't
washers
have
need
to
to
because
do
of
it
the new detergent doesn't like affect it anymore.
Oh, that's what it was? It was
yeah, it was the detergent that was being used. And I mean, you still have to, some colors you have to worry about it like the first load, but now you don't have to anymore.
Okay.
But with all the clean clothes, she would just take it and put it at the foot of her bed, because then she would be like, oh, I'll fold it later. And then like every like 3 weeks or so, she would get into a mood and put on Lord of the Rings and then just fold clothes for hours at a time.
Heaven forbid you guys do it.
Dude, we were like 6.
Oh, okay.
No full clothes. 6 years old? You're out of your mind?
But I remember
A 6-year-old could definitely fold clothes,
Yeah.
couldn't they?
yeah.
Dude, we were like 12.
And I would, but I
couldn't fold them.
And I would. I remember I would be on my mom's bed with her, and we would be folding clothes, watching Lord of the Rings, and then we would like stop folding clothes and just watch Lord of the Rings, and then start quoting the movie to each other. Then we'd be like, "Oh, we have to fold clothes."
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
transition of folding clothes and watching a movie to just watching a movie, even though you still have more clothes to fold, with like a parent, is really magical. Because I would do that with my dad all the time.
Yeah, I
We would
remember
put
that
on
too.
movies, and then it would
It'd
just
just be like,
become...
you'd have like a shirt in your hand and you just watch for 30 minutes, like, oh, crud.
yeah, and you fold 2 shirts.
But the magical thing is, before my mom would get into, because she would only really fold the clothes when it became like so high that it was hard for her to get to the closet that was on the other side
When
of
the
the
pile
of
became
clothes.
unbearable.
That the pile became unbearable, right? But what it would mean is, for us as kids, I would be like, hey mom, I need something, and I would walk into the room, she would be in bed, and I would just be like, I'm tired.
Absorbed.
And I would just face plant into it, or sometimes I would just jump and
Yeah.
That'd
There's
be
something
nice.
special
and
about
then
like,
instantly to sleep.
yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
I had
Clothes
this thing where
piles.
when I was like younger, I think 10, 11, 12 age, when clean clothes would be put on my bed, I would always just fall asleep on them. Because for some reason it was more comfortable to fall asleep in like freshly clean clothes.
Smell good.
They smell good. They feel cool, kind of.
there's
for some
something
reason.
about like the nest of
Yeah.
like it's not organized.
Yes.
And it's just like
A nest.
you just are able to perfectly.
You hit it on the nose. It's a nest.
It's a nest.
You
yeah.
just-
a nest of softness.
You're allowed to have like
It's
the
a
perfect
softness.
amount of comfort. Because a blanket, one thickness all the way through.
Yeah.
But I can have a sock here, and then a thicker shirt because I'm colder up here, and then another like a,
Okay, but that requires organization.
some
That's you
underwear.
going, my hip is colder than my
Yeah,
leg.
you just kind of
No, but it would-
until you're like I am.
You just
in-
kind of like
perfection.
mildly squirm until you're just
yeah.
like,
In that same house where the pile was, 2 things. That's my first like lucid dream that I can remember was just walking through that hallway and there was an extra beam in the wall. And I was like, I'm dreaming. And then everything just, you know, yeah, but it was just this crazy, like just walking through the house. And then there was this weird banister that wasn't supposed to be there. I was like, I'm dreaming. And then Mom had that crib that folded up into just what looked like a tactical, it was just a giant thing. I don't know how to describe it.
A crib.
It was a crib, but all the corners came together
A playpen.
like a tent.
It's called a playpen.
So they fold like a...
Stop stealing the magic.
And then my dad had this mask, or my grandpa, I can't remember, that they woke us up one night with. It was a Halloween
the
mask of
creepy
an
old
old
man
man
mask? Yeah.
with a mustache and side hair, but like enough to look...
That was just your grandpa
Waking
without
you
the
up,
makeup.
certainly terrifying. And so I put that crib up in my mom's bed. I put a bathrobe around it and 2 hangers in the arms and the old man mask. Dude, she blood-curdling scream.
Mom?
Yeah, because you just open the door and it's a bed, the side of the bed.
I think
and
there's
then
a
this,
picture of it somewhere.
This small man who looks like he's like...
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I feel like I'll have to look, but I feel like Mom posted
Took a photo?
on Facebook a
She may have.
long time ago, maybe.
We'll throw the picture up.
Yeah,
If
I
we can find it. It was
If
so
not,
funny to me.
It won't be there.
I was like, this is genius. Put the bathrobe around him, made arms and hangers.
Yeah, I remember.
How about
remember
boots?
it.
Pretty sure I used her boots. So it looked like just a
was
small
creepy.
man. Yeah.
it was creepy. Looking.
That's incredible.
That was great. She screamed.
That was great. She screamed.
She screamed.
She screamed.
screamed.
Who did this?
Oh,
Yeah.
but what's cool about our clean clothes nest was my parents went to Israel when we were really young. Yeah, they went on like the seeing the old world and everything, trip through the Bible and everything.
The old world.
The old world.
Like the old world, not the old world, but the old world. Anyway,
You're talking like pre-flood.
How'd they see that?
no, I'm talking about like the Bible old world versus Europe, the old world.
Yes, I understood.
Yeah. Anyway, they got a sheep's. It was like a sheepskin rug or something, but it's the softest thing in the world, and that would be at the foot of their bed, and then all of the clean clothes.
skin
I don't know.
I doubt it was
or
sheepskin.
wool.
But yeah.
It wasn't like wool
Leather.
that
So
you
it's
would
leather.
think of.
Softest thing.
But no.
Leather
There
rug.
there was fur and stuff, but it wasn't like wool.
Like Sherpa?
I don't know, dude.
Let's just let him finish the
Yeah,
story.
sorry.
But it's literally the softest thing ever. And then we threw all of the clean clothes on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was like a like only like a 2 loads worth, like if you did like squirm down to the bottom, you don't just get rug burn.
Yeah.
You like get onto that super softness, and then it was just like, oh, that's still super
This is
soft.
perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss the simplicity of childhood.
A weighted blanket kind of brings back the magic of that. You just feel incredibly like a child when you put one on.
Yeah.
It sounded like I farted, but I swear I didn't.
Only the people on video know whether that's true or not.
And Tim.
And Tim,
He's on. Yeah.
He's not on video.
I did. Oh shoot! I just did the thing that I hate when comedians do.
Which is.
You say a joke that's not super funny, and then you go like "so" or to add silence so that people laugh. It's like Tom Segura will say a joke, he'll go, "So anyway, I hit him with my car." So, and then he'll take a few steps. It's just like cueing you to laugh.
What did you do though that deserved laughter?
I said? I don't even remember.
All right.
I said something about Levi's story, and then went anyway, and then just let that silence sit there because
Nice.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Cringe,
Especially-
man. So
You're the worst.
Yeah. So anyway, I hit him with my car. Anyway, it's the worst.
Insert laugh track here.
Yeah, I'm just telling you to laugh at my joke. We
don't
do have a
one.
laugh track.
Nope, not anymore.
We don't have how.
Oh.
When
Why
Road
don't they
Connect
have
updated.
a?
They got rid of all our sounds.
Yeah, dude.
But they don't
Can
have
you
a
stop,
built-in
man?
laugh track.
Every time you do that.
How dare you?
So
I'm not wearing headphones this episode. Stop doing it. It's terrible. So, usually you have to say something jarring to get him to go, huh?
Yeah, I
And then you
wasn't
go.
doing it. I was just saying so to like move on.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah. Well, we're
So
at
that's
an hour
weird.
now, but let's try and wrap this up with something meaningful. We talked earlier about
Hey, Vaughn.
what?
Heaven.
Heaven.
oh,
And that heaven is for real.
Yes, it is.
unlike
Heaven is for real, for real.
Heaven is real.
for real.
Yeah.
Yikes! I
Yeah, I didn't love that.
For real, for
I
real.
don't like that.
What's so funny about for real, for real?
It's just that like cringy meme.
For real.
Yeah.
But it is. And as believers, we should be looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
And we should be acting now in accordance with how we are told that we will be acting then. And I mean, it makes me think about something I was reading recently, and I've talked a lot about in various places, but in Ephesians 4, actually, why don't I pull that up while you guys...
All right, Jerry, pull it up.
Hey, quick comment then while Jerry pulls that up. I was looking it up earlier because, there's that verse about us governing over angels. When we were talking about like roles in heaven, I asked Pastor Hank, which I thought you could use in any channel, but it has to be in his channel.
Were you just asking in our private channel?
I was asking in Under the Influence because I thought people who could have access could see a little, what's that?
You're supposed to be able to use them in other channels, so it's weird that it didn't work. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yes, according to Corinthians 6:3, Christians will judge angels. The passage reads, "Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more matters of this life?" However, the context of the passage suggests that this judgment pertains specifically to the issue of resolving disputes between believers rather than some kind of universal authority over angels. Nonetheless, the passage implies that believers in Christ will have a role in judging the spiritual realm. That's the first answer I've gotten from Pastor Hank that I didn't like, I think.
Why do you not like it?
I don't like the role we will have in judging the spiritual realm. I don't know if I'm right in my dislike of it. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he can't get them all right.
It's true. Do you think you got it right, wrong?
What channel is this in? His
Ask
channel?
Pastor Hank. Jones had to do the
Jonestown?
question because he saw that I was trying. Failed.
And you were doing it wrong.
I used him in a wrong channel.
Christians will judge angels. The passage reads, "Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more matters of this life?" However, the context of the passage suggests this judgment pertains specifically to the issue of resolving disputes between believers rather than some kind of universal authority over angels. Nonetheless, this passage does indicate that believers in Christ will have a role in judging the spiritual realm.
Judging the spiritual realm. What does that mean?
Don't we do that? Like, we judge the spiritual life of believers right now? Aren't we called to do that? Like, we're called to hold each other accountable. We're called to go to one another and to point out spiritual failings in their life, not because we are any better than them, but because we are also terrible and because they need correction.
I guess maybe spiritual realm just threw me off.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I hear words like the spiritual realm, I think of things like Avatar: The Last Airbender or something.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't really like that sort of Eastern mysticism idea, or terminology being thrown into Christianity. But I don't think that if you actually think about the way it's being used, I don't think it's being used in that way, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I don't think Hank is saying that there's a dimension we can go to,
Hank is talking about the ethereal plane.
Yeah, that we can travel to and we will judge over once we die.
When you astrally project,
Yeah.
Pastor Hank just out of left field, just like, yes, when I astrally project, I judge angels all the time.
Yeah, that would be funny.
What?
No, I was thinking, so Ephesians 4, within the context of being heavenly minded, this is really, really, like, frankly put. Frank. Really, like, plainly put, I should say. And it says in Ephesians 4:1, "I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, urge you to live worthily of the calling with which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, putting up with one another in love, making every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace." And it's the beginning what it says, "Live worthily of the calling with which you have been called." And through studying it and thinking a lot about it, it's like effectively saying, be saved and then act saved.
Yeah, act accordingly.
And then it made me think, and I kind of used this analogy, and it was interesting because we're reading Ephesians 4 for our Tuesday night group with our men's group with Carson. And when I was taking notes on it before going, I wrote, like, rephrasing it. I just wrote, well, okay, be saved and act saved. And then I thought about it a little bit more. And then I wrote, quote, if you're so mature, then why don't you act like it? Quoted every parent ever. Because it's like, you think about how many times as a kid that your parent was like chastising you rightfully for something, and you're like, or saying that you're not acting mature because you act immature in public or something like that. And you go like, well, I am mature, I am grown up. And they go, okay, if you're so mature, why don't you act like it? You know, and it's in a weird way kind of what this is saying, like, be saved and act saved, which is, there's like two main things to that, right? Which is, if we're called to be saved and then to act saved, it's like, what does acting saved look like? Number one, well, it looks exactly how the Bible tells us it should look, meaning what the Christian life should look like. So do those things. But then also, I think first, it is like this overwhelming gratitude. Like, be saved. What does a person whose life has just been saved, like, objectively, it's undisputed, somebody's been rescued by a hero. What do? It's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I was going to die. Like, I was dead, and now I'm not. So I think, you know, just reading this, it was a little encouraging message that I wanted to share on the podcast. But, you know, think about what it means to be saved. And I think to be saved in like a really, really easy idea is this rescue of someone. And how do you act when you're rescued? So how should you be acting towards God? And then act saved. So look at what the Bible tells us to do and how to live and act that out and be obedient to God because he's rescued you. And so, yeah, it's an interesting verse. And I just like, it was fun going through Ephesians 4 because right in the beginning, I told myself, all right, write things down that you find as interesting. And first verse, oh, that's interesting. I wrote it down, thought about it a little more, paraphrased it in this other way, the whole like parents to children thing. And then later in, I think, verse 14, it says something about children and it makes an analogy about not being like children anymore. And I was like, oh, I guess I was onto something.
Hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. But no, I think Ephesians 4 it's just being very clear in what it's asking us to do is to be saved and act saved. So
I like the distinction it makes between the acts of service that necessarily ought to follow someone being saved and them being saved. They are not, one doesn't come first. The actions.
Like the actions are not what saves you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, you are to be, your goal is to be saved and make sure that you are saved and then act accordingly.
Yeah. It's just to live worthily of
the gift you've been given. Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Of the calling in which you've been called.
Quoting the verse,
and James makes a big point to talk about a lot of that too, right? James, although like Martin Luther didn't necessarily love James because the whole like he was afraid it was saying works save you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is pretty clear if you read it and how it's saying that your works are the evidence of your faith, right? And I think it's just being reiterated here by saying something else, but you can see how this substantiates that claim because this is saying first be saved and then live worthily of it. And we know that we will fail, and we have places in the Bible that tell us what to do in that, right? To confess our sin, to repent, so to turn away from it and to go the other direction. But a constant reminder of the fact that you've been rescued. Like, act like a rescued person at all times. Act to God. Your disposition to God should be, oh, he has rescued me. You know, we know that the wages, what we have earned for our sin, is death. And we were dead in our sins. And he's rescued us from that. So we should act accordingly. And then we should seek to be obedient. And that is that acting saved part. Because we know we're told that, like, the life of the believer looks this way. We're supposed to look this way to the rest of the world. And we're supposed to act differently. And we are supposed to look like Jesus to the rest of the world. It's like, it's pretty clear what we're told we're supposed to look like. And we should be doing it.
Yeah,
which is something we've said a million times.
Sometimes I do it facetiously, but part of why I do consistently in our relationship bring up the time that you literally saved my life in Vegas is because if you were not just living, but were approaching death, Like you're able to see your person moving physically towards that door of death or that cliffside, and then someone saved your life, took you off that track
Allegedly.
or turned you around. How could you
No,
not
you did it.
tell every person
Yeah. No,
about
that's
that
fair.
guy that saved your life? It's insane to me to think that like people go around and they don't proselytize. Why are you smiling?
Oh, neither of you can hear it.
No.
What did you do?
I can't tell what he's doing.
I played a Doppler effect style ambulance sound effect where it's like in the distance. You should wear headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a great analogy. Like, if somebody who's been in that situation,
Analogy?
who has been saved, well,
That was a true story.
that is
It's
a
an
great
analogy.
anecdote.
It's an analogy.
There you go.
It serves. Can't you use real things as an analogy? Anyway,
I think so.
I do genuinely like. Well, I couldn't swim. I believed I was drowning, and so I bring it up because I don't think you can see it in the same way that I see it, which is like, oh, literally, I was dying. Like I was not able to breathe, and then
Right.
my brother saved me, and so that's why I bring it all the time. And we are all dying, and God is. That's interesting though, because the relationship isn't so physical as that. It's like,
Well, a lot of the
He
time
gives
we don't
us-
even know.
yeah, but he gives us the opportunity to ask him to save us, which is something that maybe
Yeah.
sounds very, well, why he would give you the opportunity to ask him to save you. If he really loved you, he would just save you. But he gives us the opportunity to not only have our faith in him justified, but practice our having faith in him.
Sorry,
think that was
Mike.
a Jeremy.
I mean, if that's offend you. I didn't know if he listens to the podcast anymore. No, that is really true. That's crazy to think about. The fact that, well, I think it goes back to love, like this, that God wants to be in a loving relationship with us, right? And love requires this,
Bidirectional, like,
yeah, choice, I think.
yeah.
It's interesting because our greatest example of love, this like self-sacrificial, putting somebody else before, putting someone else's good before your own, Christ, coming to earth in the form, being born a baby, like humiliating himself in such a way, all of this, I think it makes sense that, that choice is involved, and it comes down to love. Like we are choosing to now live our life obedient and subject to Him.
Yeah.
Right. And there's this interesting thing in like for the believer, we should in everything we do it for Him, right? And there's this interesting, I guess, analogy, I don't know, but that C.S. Lewis talks about where he says, the life of the believer who is dedicated to living for God, and in every moment, well, because first he makes the point that everything that we have, every moment of existence we have is a gift from God, right? And so then the life of the dedicated believer, one who is in everything, looking to God and saying, I do this for you. My job right now, this thing that I don't enjoy doing, instead, I do it for you. I dedicate it to you. And then who does this and this and this, like all the things they're doing, they're dedicating, they're doing it for God, as gifts to God of service for Him because they love God and they're worshiping Him. He says it's effectively like a child who goes to their father and says, Dad, can I have 6 pence, please? And the dad goes, what for? And they go, to buy you a birthday gift. And the dad goes, well, then sure. And he gives them the 6 pence. And then they turn right around, buy their dad a birthday gift, walk back and give the gift to their father. They would be, someone looking at that exchange would be fairly idiotic to say that father is now 6 pence richer because he just got what was his back. But it's not necessarily the thing that the father's getting back, which has the value in it, but instead the dedication, or the service and like the
process
purpose
of giving the gift
behind
and
it.
receiving, and the relationship that exists there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The purpose of it and the process of it. And
We're lucky to be given an opportunity where we can, without a doubt, show God. We without a doubt, we have our faith in God, and we require it. But He also gives us the opportunity to like show it, to ask Him for those sixpence to get Him a birthday gift.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cool. We're an hour and 15. If there's anything else we want to talk about, we can do it now. But if not,
like, there's no doubt in my mind that boy knows. No, you're totally fine. I just want to add this. There's no doubt in the boy's mind that the father couldn't, on his birthday, go, I'm going to treat myself, rightfully so, and I'm going to buy myself a sixpence watch.
depending on the age of the child.
Yeah, but as an analogy for our relationship.
Yeah.
But we still are allowed to say, can I do this because I want to show you that I'm.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and it's beautiful, right? It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're running really late here, and we've got stuff going on here in a few minutes, so we got to go. But thank you guys for listening. The beginning of this might be a little choppy because we were all real snuffly and sniffly and allergenic.
Elephant Man.
But we appreciate you sticking it out, hanging out with us, and listening to what we have to say. Thank you for those that tune in on the video. It's super cool that you do that. We've heard a lot of great feedback. Our first episode has been out for a week now, and I think we got close to 100 views, if not 100 views. People really enjoy it, and we really appreciate that you enjoy it and that you were going there. I didn't know if people would flock to YouTube or not, and it's pretty cool to see that people are doing that. So if you liked what you saw in this episode, if you're viewing on YouTube or you liked what you heard, YouTube, you can leave a comment. That would be great. We love reading those. I love getting feedback there. And then if you're listening on Spotify or something like that, go find us on Discord. Even if you're on YouTube, go check us out on Discord. If you want to continue this conversation or things you hear on here, or you want to get updates about the show, things like that, or you want to get involved in the community that we represent, Christian Influence, go to discord.gg/Christian Influence. You should see it on the video. You know, it pops up at the end. But we'd love to talk to you there, and we'd love to get the opportunity to meet you, not face to face, I guess, but to meet you in a different setting.
Yeah, if you even remotely enjoy the podcast, the Discord is such an amazing place because even if you don't partake in like conversation with people, the resources that the Discord allows users, like stuff like that Pastor Hank that I just used, which
That's
is
true, like which we didn't give an explanation for.
No,
it's
it
an AI
scans
model.
scripture that's trained on. It's an AI model that's trained on scripture and two prominent Christian philosophers, William Lane Craig and
Hank Hanegraaff.
Hank Hanegraaff.
And C.S. Lewis.
Oh, is it on William Lane Craig, or did I make that up?
It's not William. I don't know if it is, but I know it's C.S. Lewis, Hank Hanegraaff, and I think there is one more guy.
Okay. William Lane Craig.
But
William Lane
basically,
Craig's
it's trained to effectively act like a Bible questions and answer bot, and it's very effective at that. And it's very cool. So yeah, check out the Discord. There's a lot of reasons to do it. We've got a lot of resources, and also this podcast has a home there, so you can communicate in that way too. Or just leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.